The air crackled with anticipation. It was 356 BC. In the heart of Macedonia, a king was born. His name was Alexander. This was no ordinary child. From his first breath, Alexander was enveloped in an aura of destiny. His father, King Philip II, was a formidable warrior. His mother, Olympias, was a woman of fierce ambition and legendary lineage. She claimed descent from Achilles, the greatest hero of the Trojan War. Alexander's childhood was a blend of privilege and rigorous training. He excelled in all he did. Aristotle himself, the greatest philosopher of the age, became Alexander's tutor. He instilled in his pupil a thirst for knowledge. This thirst extended beyond military strategy. Alexander devoured philosophy, literature, and the arts. He was a prince destined for greatness. The world would tremble before him. At the age of 20, tragedy struck. King Philip was assassinated. Alexander's inheritance, a kingdom on the brink of chaos, became his burden. He faced rebellion within and enemies at every border, yet his father's death ignited a fire in his soul. Alexander moved with lightning speed. He crushed the internal rebellions. His decisiveness and ruthlessness silenced any who dared question his rule. With his kingdom secure, Alexander turned his gaze eastward. The Persian Empire, vast and wealthy, beckoned. It was a prize worthy of Alexander's ambition. He inspired his men. He led them with unmatched courage. Alexander's charisma was as potent a weapon as any blade. His army, a well-oiled machine, followed him to the ends of the earth. They believed in their king, a king who promised them glory and riches beyond their wildest dreams. The Persian Empire, under Darius III, underestimated the young Macedonian king. They learned their lesson at the Granicus River. Alexander's army, outnumbered but not outmatched, clashed with the Persians in a furious battle. Alexander, always at the forefront of the fighting, led a cavalry charge that shattered the Persian lines. His bravery and tactical brilliance secured a stunning victory. The Persian Empire, once thought invincible, had been bloodied by the young lion of Macedon. The victory at Granicus was just the beginning. City after city fell to Alexander's advancing army. Sardis, Ephesus, Miletus, all bowed before the conqueror. The Persian Empire reeled. Darius III, shamed by this upstart from the west, assembled a massive army to crush Alexander once and for all. The plains of Gaugamela, in the heart of the Persian Empire, became the stage for a battle that would decide the fate of nations. Alexander's forces faced a Persian army of unimaginable size. Darius III, adorned in gold and jewels, watched from his chariot as the battle commenced. The clash was titanic. Persian chariots thundered across the battlefield. Waves of Persian infantry crashed against the Macedonian lines, yet Alexander's army, disciplined and expertly led, held firm. Then Alexander saw his opportunity. He led a devastating charge, a wedge of iron and fury, straight at the heart of the Persian army. Darius III, his nerve broken, fled the field. With their king gone, the Persian army crumbled. Gaugamela was a decisive victory for Alexander. The Persian Empire lay at his feet. The conqueror's reach from Egypt to India. Alexander's pursuit of Darius III led him across the vast Persian Empire. He conquered Babylon, Susa, and Persepolis, the heart of the Persian realm. He captured unimaginable wealth and treasures. Still, Alexander pressed on, chasing the remnants of Darius's army across the Iranian plateau. He reached the Indus River, the very edge of the known world. Alexander's empire stretched from the Aegean Sea to the Himalayas. He had conquered more land than any man in history, yet his thirst for conquest was unquenched. He yearned for more, but his weary and homesick army had reached their limit. They refused to go further. Alexander, for perhaps the first time in his life, was forced to turn back. He had conquered the world, but he could not conquer the will of his own men. A legacy forged the Hellenistic world. Alexander's conquests were more than just military victories. He was not content to simply conquer. He sought to rule, to leave his mark on the world. He founded cities, over 70 of them, each bearing his name. Alexandria in Egypt became the jewel of his empire, a center of learning and culture that rivaled Athens itself. He encouraged the blending of Greek and Eastern cultures, a fusion that gave birth to the Hellenistic world. Greek art, language and philosophy spread throughout Alexander's vast empire. This cultural fusion left an indelible mark on the world, shaping the course of Western civilization for centuries to come. Alexander's reign was a whirlwind of conquest, but it was also a time of great intellectual and cultural ferment. He patronized scholars and artists, fostering an environment where knowledge and creativity could flourish. His legacy was not just one of military might but also of cultural brilliance. The king's demise whispers of mortality. In 323 BC, at the age of 32, Alexander fell ill in Babylon. Fever racked his body. His strength, once the stuff of legend, ebbed away with each passing day. The conqueror of the world, the man who had seemingly cheated death on countless battlefields, was now facing his own mortality. As his life slipped away, his generals, those who had served him loyally and fought by his side, gathered around him. They were eager to know what would become of his vast empire. Who would inherit the world Alexander had conquered? But Alexander, his voice a raspy whisper, offered no clear air. He uttered a single enigmatic phrase, "To the strongest." These words, open to interpretation, would sow the seeds of discord and conflict that would plague his empire long after his death. The aftermath, a world transformed. Alexander's empire did not long survive him. His generals, driven by ambition and rivalry, carved up the empire amongst themselves. The Diadochi, as they were known, fought a series of wars that reshaped the political landscape of the Hellenistic world. Yet, even in death, Alexander's influence remained powerful. The kingdoms established by his generals, the Ptolemaic kingdom of Egypt, the Seleucid Empire in the east, all bore the imprint of his vision. They continued to spread Greek culture and learning throughout their realms. The world Alexander left behind was forever changed. He had shattered the old order, redrawing the map of the world with his conquests. His empire may have been ephemeral, but his legacy, the legacy of a king, conqueror, and legend, would endure for millennia. Conclusion: the enduring legacy of Alexander the Great. Alexander the Great was a man of contradictions. He was a ruthless conqueror and a visionary leader. He was a brilliant strategist and a reckless gambler. He was loved by his men and feared by his enemies. He changed the course of history, leaving behind an empire that stretched from the shores of Greece to the banks of the Indus River. His story is a tapestry woven from ambition, brilliance, and tragedy. Alexander's life, though short, was filled with more adventure, conquest, and glory than most men could dream of in 10 lifetimes. He remains one of the most fascinating figures in history, a legend whispered on the winds of time. His legacy continues to inspire and intrigue us. We marvel at his military genius, his thirst for knowledge, and his vision of a world united under Hellenistic ideals. Alexander the Great, the boy king of Macedon, became a legend in his own time, his name forever etched in the annals of history.